Now, you're sure this is a Range Rover? It says so on the bonnet. But what is it? Is this the updated Velar? Well, look a bit closer, and yeah, this is actually the all-new Evoque, and we have it here exclusively in India, nice and early. This is the D180S version, and we have it for the day to see what it offers. So first up, those stunning lines. Less hardy Land Rover and more la-di-da fashion icon, the new Evoque gets people's attention wherever it goes. And that it looks like the stunning Velar does its prospects no harm at all. And truth be told, it is difficult to tell the two apart. Both get similar mesh grills, slimline headlights with rectangular LED inserts, headlight extensions that run onto the front doors, severely tapering roof lines, and steeply rising belt lines. So size apart, how do you tell one from the other? Especially if all you get is a quick glance. Well, it's not simple. The new Evoque uniquely gets an additional slot-like opening under the front grille. The bonnet line predominantly runs around the big front wheel arch, and well, frankly, that's it. It's also similar looking to many Range Rovers on the inside. So on the inside of the new Evoque, and no big surprises here, but what you do get is plenty of quality, like this soft touch top of the dash, these brackets here in chrome, the highlight, the piano black, all beautifully built. The vents here, the controllers have chrome piping and dashes. This is new material which does look pretty good. Now, you have a touch screen, but this one below on this S trim version is the touch controller. The two control wheels placed on the center console function superbly. The dials can be used for several modes which you can select. However, I don't like the fact that you need to swap modes to control fan speed, which is a pain if you are driving and want to keep your eyes on the road. I particularly like the hooded Cobra-like instrument panel cowl, and I also like how the feather touch steering wheel controls can be reconfigured. While the version on test, the S, gets regular dials and only one touchscreen, the higher spec SE gets an additional touchscreen, an all-digital instrument panel, a clear sight mirror, and an uprated sound system with 14 speakers and a dual-channel subwoofer. Slick operation and a high level of functionality also seem to be extremely important. There's no rotary dial gear lever this time around. Still, must say, I do like the soft tray above the cup holders where you can keep your phone, and that the individual elbow rest splits down the center, and seat comfort on the front chairs is seriously good. Compared to the earlier Evoque, this one has a wheelbase that's longer by 20 mm, so leg room at the rear is a bit better. Now this isn't the ideal car to be chauffeur driven around in, and that's of course because of this sloping roof, but actually Range Rover played it smartly. Headroom is pretty decent unless you're of course 6 foot or taller than that. This sunroof here, normally they impinge on your headroom, but the sunroof has after this sort of curve here, so you have a pretty fair amount of headroom. Legroom isn't too bad, and the back support and thigh support is pretty decent. Yes, your knees are a bit up and you would want a bit more space in a car of this price, but all things considered, I'm pretty comfortable here. Seating 3 abreast in the back, however, isn't a good idea. The cabin is a bit narrow, and then visibility out the back isn't very good either. Since a large percentage of Evokes are owner driven, it's important that it drives well too. First up, however, the ride. Now over some of the sharper bumps, you do feel the stiffness in the springs, but in general, once you up the speed of the car, ride does flatten out pretty nicely. The tall springs seem to work better now, the dampers round off bumps nicely, and then what impresses is that the faster I travel over this patchwork highway, the more comfortable the Evoque feels. Yes, the new Evoque has a roughly 20 longer wheelbase, and that could nix some of the earlier car's agility. But the new platform on which it's built also has a new floor pan that improves rigidity by around 17%. Now the Evoque has always been a bit of a sporty handler, and this new Evoque also is pretty good. A nice balance going into corners, the steering weighs up nicely, and though it isn't as agile as the earlier car, not quite, it does feel pretty fun around the corners. Also, what I absolutely love is how neatly and quickly it tucks in if you find yourself running a bit wide. The Evoque is also very comfy at high speed. Also extremely impressive is high speed stability. This car just feels as solid as a rock and gives you tremendous confidence. And what I also particularly like are these brakes. They're super. If not in too much of a hurry, the diesel engine also works pretty well. At low and medium speeds, this Ingenium 2-liter diesel, the 180 horsepower version, is smooth and pulls pretty well from a low speed. This is because it has a variable geometry turbo that aids low speed performance. And put your foot down, and the mid-range is pretty strong too. And what makes it perform this well is all the torque. The Evoque clearly isn't for everyone, and definitely not for those who believe size and price are directly proportional. A luxury SUV designed and built for a more evolved car buyer, someone who's been there and done that, it clearly is built with different objectives in mind. Here, compactness is a virtue, attitude, stance and style matter more than practicality, and what separates this luxury SUV from its rivals is that owners often drive themselves. Yes, the ride could have been a bit more comfortable at low speed, a bit more power and performance would be nice, and it isn't nearly as well equipped as it should be considering its expected price of around 50 lakhs. Do remember, however, that the better equipped SE version is available for not all that much more, and for those interested in more power and performance, there's also the 249 horsepower petrol, the P250. Closer in price to rivals of full size up like the BMW X3 and the Audi Q5, the new Evoque clearly isn't a car you buy with your head. But then the Evoque has always been an emotional choice.